Hi everyone, I'm Debora Christy Love and I'm here for a question and answer period about past life regressions. And I hope that some of you out there that like my page for Mystic Muse will be here to maybe type me in some questions. I'm happy to answer all that I can. I totally enjoy doing the past life regression work that I do as a hypnotist. I find it very rewarding to see people have things figured out and have that light go on about things that are going on in their present day life. So I do have some questions prepared because I know that not everybody is willing to type in, but if you have a question, feel free to type it into me. I am open to anything. I've done over 100 past life regressions in my career and still really enjoy it, and even branching out more to do more online regressions as well because they are safe online. There are some circumstances that need to be met, like the quiet room and closed door and, pets not going to bother you, that kind of thing. But that's all, manageable and can be talked about beforehand. So I think one of the major questions for people out there is, what is the purpose of having a past life regression? The purpose really is to help make sense of things that are going on in your present life. I mean, this is the life that's most important. This is where we're at. It's always the present that is what we're working on now. But there's always circumstances for many people that come up where feelings go really deep, we're triggered by things we don't understand, and for the experiences we've had in this life, some of them don't even make sense. There's different fears we may have that get carried over from a past life. There's certain time periods that you're really attracted to, it could be medieval or maybe native things, or just so many different time periods that you may feel connected to, and it's nice to explore those. The other thing you can explore is relationships, and that's a really, really big one. Often we're born into our present-day family, and most of the people we get along with fine, but there's usually that one person that you just have trouble with. It could be a sibling, it could be a parent, could be, some other aunt or uncle or cousin or someone. But there's often that person that, for reasons we can't figure out in this life, we just don't get along with. There's just something there that we can't explain, and the feelings are all there, but the knowledge and the memories aren't there. So it really helps to create closure and reasons for things that are going on in this lifetime. I know for myself, I've had several past life regressions, and they've helped me tremendously figure out things that were going on in my life. And it's like I knew instinctively, maybe it's because I had a near-death experience when I was young, very connected to my guides, etc., and my higher self, but I knew there were things that, were going on in this life that went deeper than what I could figure out here. There were reasons beyond what I could come up with in this present day life, and the memories that came back to me just answered everything, beyond my wildest dreams, that made sense, that actually made sense, and put this life into a whole new perspective. We do have soul groups that we travel with, and some of those people are in our family, but often we meet them along the way. And we recognize these people on some level. And again, it's one of those things that doesn't make sense. You either really feel connected to them, or you really can't stand them and you don't understand where this is coming from. Where is this feeling coming from? And often when we see the past lives, it makes so much sense. There's people that we've traveled with and seen in many lifetimes. And often if they're the ones that we don't get along with, they keep showing up so that we can have another chance to understand another perspective, so that we can have another opportunity to learn to love this person, or to get along with this person at least, or to make peace with things that happened in the past that we might be hanging on to. So it's a whole new opportunity in this lifetime to kind of let go and heal things that we're still working on. And that's kind of the one revelation that I had, and I think many people have had, is that we see some of those past lives and you go, wow, I'm still doing that. I'm still working on that today, and this life was hundreds of years ago. So sometimes we see things that we've just carried over and carried over many times, and we often do repeat certain patterns, and it really helps to break those patterns when we know where they came from and we know what they're about. So there's a lot of questions that people have about regressions. I use hypnosis. I have also had some meditations where I've spontaneously remembered certain things about some past lives with the help of my guides, etc. But many people, hypnosis works the best. I can help get you into a state where your conscious mind's a little bit out of the way. Now, hypnosis is a state that's pretty common. I mean, if you've ever driven a car and you've been at a stoplight and, a block later you think, geez, did that light turn? I don't remember that. Chances are you were in a light hypnosis state, and you're perfectly safe in that state because your higher self is really looking out for you. Sometimes you're safer in that state than you are consciously. Higher self is aware of more things than consciously that we are aware of ourselves. So it really is a focused attention. So if you've ever watched television and you are so intent on this movie you're watching and you're right into it, and somebody walks in the room, they start talking to you, and you kind of know they're there, you kind of heard they came in, but you have no idea what they're saying to you. It's kind of the same thing, because we're focused on our inner world, our inner experience that we're having. You're focused on what you're learning in the regression. Not that you don't hear the car go by or a door close in another room. It's just that you're not paying attention to it and it's not important at the time. So with a one-on-one regression, what I help you transition into the right space. I let your mind relax so that I can help facilitate going from one scene that you're telling me about to the next scene without having to consciously think about it, which could interfere with your experience. So it really helps the experience move along. And what I've noticed is that with all the past life I've done, that people only see things that are important for this lifetime. You may have had 500 lifetimes here, but you're only going to see things that pertain to this life. People that are in this life now that were in past lives that you're going to see, or maybe situations that are similar, and things that you're going through may be similar. And otherwise, there would be no purpose. And higher self knows this, so you're not going to see something that doesn't make sense to this lifetime. You're going to see something that is helpful and useful in this lifetime. I've also been able, with some people, to go into the future as well after they've seen a couple of past lives. Just brought them somewhere into the future, their own choice where they go, and they've seen a little scene of something that is yet to come. And we can do that because there really is no time or space in the spiritual world, and some of those things are known. Some are chosen here, but there are some things that are known. I've had some people say, I saw them going to meet this past life soulmate that I saw in the past life, and I'm going to meet them here in this life, in the next year or so. So that has happened before. There's been a couple people that saw future grandchildren or their own future children, and I've actually seen some of those come to pass. So, there is no time or space, and we can learn some amazing things. I've even seen where they've had help from their loved ones that have passed, have come to help them with their regression and answer some questions for them that way as well. So the things that you can learn about relationships are amazing. We can also learn about health issues. Sometimes people have a health issue that they've been to several doctors, they've been all over the place, and it just doesn't make sense. Nobody can seem to figure out where it came from or what it is exactly. And sometimes a past life can answer that question as well. I have seen things where people get triggered at a certain age and a certain symptom comes to them, and that may be because they find out in a past life that's the age that it happened in a past life. That's the age that some trauma happened in a past life, and they got this symptom. And so they're like being reminded in this life about the past life so that their subconscious mind can make that connection and perhaps heal themselves from it in this life and the past life. This is all about healing. There is so many things that we can heal and make sense of with the regressions. Now, the other interesting thing is, people ask, are we always the same sex in our past lives? No, we're not. I have had past lives where I've been a male. I've had many where I'm a female, but I've had a few that I've seen that I was a male in. And, our soul chooses that a lot of things before we come into a life here on earth, and sometimes that makes it interesting. We can choose to be male or female, whatever works for the lessons and the things that we would like to learn in this present lifetime. Sometimes people choose their parents. Most of the time I think they choose their parents. They choose often many of the lessons and people that they'll meet here along the way. So no, we're not always the same sex in a lifetime. We also cross nationalities. Our soul lineage can jump around and go from, North America to China to Japan to a native life. And I also believe we can jump around in time periods as well. Maybe time is not always linear that we think it is. It makes sense for us to see it in linear time, but we may not actually live all of them in linear time. So we do jump around nationalities and different ethnic groups. Our soul lineage is different than your current day body lineage, and sometimes people confuse those. Now, our body lineage obviously goes back genetically to our parents, to their parents, to their parents in each lifetime, and goes back to I'm sure, a very early beginning here on earth. But our soul lineage can jump around, and it can go all over the place and have been many different nationalities, many different time periods, and that's why we get such a varied experience, and why we can retain so much knowledge in our subconscious mind. The subconscious doesn't sleep. It does remember all of our past lives. So let me see. I have some notes here. I'm going to post some common question and answers later on today about past life regression as well, and I will also list the things that I think need to happen in order to have a safe online past life regression as well, in case you're interested in that. I am here in Camp Verde, Arizona, and if you're local, I highly suggest coming in for a one-on-one personal in-person past life regression, but they are very safe and comfortable in your own home as well to do online. So let me see, have I answered these questions here? Yeah, I mean, I've seen people that have discovered lifetimes where they've drowned, and it does explain for them, why they don't really like swimming, or why they don't like boats, or water to be in general, or people that have had certain deaths. But remember, when we see these lifetimes in a regression, we don't really feel the pain. We don't have to feel the pain or anything when we see our past life person. It's more like a movie that we're watching. In fact, I instruct that, you're seeing everything from a distance, and there is no pain, there is no suffering. So what you can expect in a regression is that hypnosis is a nice relaxed state. I try to get you into that nice relaxed state. I have different techniques to help you do that. And then I may get you to count to 10 a few times. I like to make sure there's a lot of cues that I can look for that tell me which level you're at. And so it's very comfortable, and you do remember everything. I usually record my sessions from the time you start talking about your past life, but I don't tell you what to say. You're telling me what's going on, and I'm just helping you by asking certain questions, like, are you inside or outside? Are you male or female? What are you seeing around you? What's happening? And so that kind of question, that I'm not really leading you, but I'm just kind of helping you, so you're not having to think about what to say to me or where to go next. And once we've explored a certain scene that you land in a past life, I will take you forward to the next most important or life-changing event that happens in that lifetime. And so we may see 2 to 3 events in that lifetime. And of course, then we'll go to the time surrounding when you passed in that lifetime. And so you'll see what led up to your death in that lifetime. And it won't be painful. It will just be, like I said, watching a movie. You could see yourself die of old age and a family around you. You might have been alone. You might have gone to war. You might have done all kinds of things. So whatever it is, you tell me what's going on, and then once we get through that death stage, we can look at that lifetime from a higher perspective. You will kind of drift out of that lifetime and attain the knowledge that you came to get in that lifetime. So I would ask questions like, what did you learn most in that lifetime? What did you enjoy the best in that lifetime? What would you tell your past life person? What message would you give them? And perhaps what message do they have for you in this lifetime that can help you in this lifetime? Then we would perhaps say thank you and do a healing on the people you might have seen in that life. So I mean, that's how it continues on, and we would go to probably, I would say the average is 2 past lives per session, and a session is very close to 2 hours, if not 2 hours, 2 hours long. And we also would sometimes go to a future. Sometimes that's possible. Some people have said, no, I'd rather not. I don't want to see the future. That's scary to me. That's fine too. So whatever your choice is with that, that's up to your higher self too, a little bit, whatever you get shown there. But it is fun to see. I've had people that go 2 weeks in the future, and I've had other people say they've seen, 10 years in the future. They see where they're going to retire. They've built that dream home they wanted to go to, and move to that place they wanted to get to. So, there's all kinds of benefits to going into the future as well. So, yeah, I really hope that somebody would come in here and maybe have a question for me if I haven't answered it yet. I also would like to show you my book. I have written this book, There Is Love. It really starts out with my near-death experience, but that is really the longest and first chapter of the book. But it goes on to describe my 50-year journey. And throughout that journey, I was affected by past lives. There were times even in my childhood where certain things would come to me, and certain things I remember once I was young, and I was watching a cowboy. Of course, that was when I was young, in the late 60s, early 70s, and I saw a cowboy and Indian movie on television, and they were always shooting these poor natives on these movies, and there was something that was said. I think the word heathen came up by someone in the show, and I was like 4 to 5 years old. I did not know what that word meant exactly, but I knew it wasn't good, and it angered me so much, and I ran out of the room, and I was so angry, and I ran through the house, and I ran down the porch steps, and I got out onto the grass, and I remember saying out loud, "We weren't heathens, were we?" And I remember the words flying out of my mouth, and these feelings of anger, etc., and indignation. And then I remember looking around going, I wonder if anybody saw me. Who am I talking to? And what was that? Like, where did that come from? But I realize now that I was very close to my past life as a Native American here in kind of the mid to late 1800s. And so that just kind of came up because of this movie I was watching as a 4 or 5 year old, and those memories are close to children, and sometimes they just blurt things out. Things come up, feelings and energy, and even words come out, and it didn't make sense at the time, but I've of course learned now that my native guide was with me even at that time when I was young, and helped me out many times. I would be playing with weeds outside in the yard, and my guide's telling me, this is medicine. And I remember thinking, medicine? Why do I know that's medicine? So things that didn't make sense, really, they come to light when you get to see some of these past lives and your connections to the people in them. I know in my own family, it's quite interesting. My my first husband was in the lifetime that I'm talking about, the native lifetime, where he was actually an adopted white child that came and lived with our native group, and he was raised by us, and etc., etc. And so I learned certain things about him, and he grew up and had a daughter that was born, and he died shortly after she was born. And in this lifetime, interestingly enough, his daughter in that lifetime, who would have been technically my grandchild, is our daughter. And I remember holding her the first time and thinking, how do I know you? Where are you? Where do I know you from? And I heard my guide saying, granddaughter. And I remember, and I was surprised. I put it out there, and I didn't even expect an answer, and I heard him loud and clear saying granddaughter. And so, of course, in past life regression, I saw clearly what had happened, how he died, and I saw his partner holding up the baby, the newborn baby, and he was gone. She was only a few weeks old, and the mom was holding up this grandchild for me to see and acknowledge, yes, this is your grandchild. And so there's these full circle connections that come into your life and make things make a whole lot more sense, and a wonderful feeling of the wonder of life, the wonder of how we get to experience different people in different ways. We get to experience so many different time periods, so many different lessons, and so much love. Basically, we get to meet people over and over again. Like I said, my ex-husband was my adopted child. He was my husband. My daughter was my granddaughter. She's my daughter today. My present husband was also actually an adopted child in another past life in France during the French Revolution time, late 1700s. So we're connected to many lifetimes together as well. So, you run into these people in your life when you're meant to, and the lights kind of go on. Even if you don't know the story, you know the feeling, well, this person's comfortable. I feel like I know this person. I don't know why I feel like I know this person. So there is so many things going on behind your consciousness that you're not aware of. And you can bring that to light easily with hypnosis. Your memory never sleeps. I've even had people that had past life regressions, or actually had kind of a regression into a time they'd forgotten. I had someone once who was a young child and remembered an accident where she'd been bumped on the head by something and was knocked out for a period of time, and wondered if there was any memories to recover there. And when we went back to the circumstances to leading up and getting bumped on the head, she told me she went out of her body and she had a near-death experience that had many details to it. So she was very happy to remember that and to bring back those details and memories from a time that she always wondered about, because she said, I think I was knocked out for 20 minutes or something, accidentally, when she was only about 4 years old, and she remembered a lot of things about that. So we can have times in our lives where maybe through a trauma, or it's one of our healing and coping mechanisms that we can block out certain memories if they're painful, too painful at the time we're going through them, but maybe years later, just the memory of knowing what it is can help you to completely heal, because having a mystery that you have mysterious feelings around or a trigger about, and it's not answered, that can be kind of debilitating. That can kind of be always this question mark that you're not understanding. And that's what we're really here to solve, is to help solve those question marks that are around people's lives, that they know there's feelings around, they know there's energy around, but they can't put their finger on. So it's really, it is really healing to have those things come to light. I see a couple of viewers there, and if you have any questions at all, please feel free to type them for me right now, or even after the show. And as I said, I will put up some information later on today on Mystic Muse here. And if you're thinking about a regression, that can be done easily too on the Mystic Muse page. You can set up your appointment and time, and even pay online for that. And I think there is just endless possibilities for doing this regression work. No two people are the same. It's so interesting. Some people have had, some very mundane lives where they kind of had to learn to be alone. They might have been a shepherd somewhere and lived a lonely life. So there's many lifetimes like that. And then there's many interesting lives where people go through so much. They live through wars, they live through famine, they live through many of the historical things that we've heard about. So they have some first-hand knowledge about some of the things that happened in our history books, which is also very interesting. So, there's everything across the board, and but whatever makes it into your regression is what you need at the time for healing and for your highest and best good. So we're almost out of time here, and I'm really hoping that either, whenever you get around to it, if you do have any questions, that you can type them to me, private message me on Mystic Muse or at Debora Christy Love on here on Facebook, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So I think that is all. And once again, I will show you my book, which is kind of an example, because like I said, throughout this book there's my near-death experience, but there's also reference to the many past lives I found out about during my journey here, and how they fit the puzzle pieces together in my life, and everyone has that puzzle going on. Our life is a huge tapestry of pieces that just need to fall into place, and sometimes we need to stand back and see that bigger picture over several lifetimes to really understand who you are, what you're working on, why I came here again this time, what my purpose is, and what my experience is this time, and how I can make the best of it, how you can make the best of yours, and we're all in this together. And I hope I've been helpful. Again, I'm Debora Christy Love, and I'm going to sign off, and all the best to you.